What happens when science and spirituality cross paths? Welcome to this space where science and spirituality meet. Here, we explore the mysteries of the mind, the power of neuroscience, and the deep connections between the self and the universe. We'll talk about healing, trauma, consciousness, and transformation, challenging what is known and opening doors to new possibilities. Prepare for a journey where knowledge and intuition merge to awaken your deepest potential. This is more than a podcast, it's an awakening. Welcome.
I am currently located in Commune number 5, specifically within the charming and well-known San Mateo neighborhood, alongside a very good and cherished friend of mine, Marianella Beltran. Break time equals 0.5s/. She is the dedicated leader of the Acres Foundation, an organization that consistently performs truly wonderful and impactful work for individuals living with various cognitive disabilities, providing invaluable support and resources.
Welcome, Danny. Thank you for coming to visit us. Acres is special care, training, and rehabilitation. Born in November 2003, we are almost 21 years old. We work with the cognitively challenged population with autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, mild to moderate and profound mental retardation, and all associated conditions.
What services do you offer?
We have speech therapy, occupational therapy, special education, psychology, neuropsychology, and nursing. Oh, and physical therapy.
And how many users do you have?
Currently, we have 17 users ranging from 2 to 50 years old. We have a professional team who are like angels because they are donating their time. We have the psychologist, Nancy Rueda, whom I would also like you to meet right now. We have the speech therapist, Lighty. We have the occupational therapist, Paula, and we have the nurse and physical therapist, Liz.
This is the invitation I extend to everyone who will watch this video. Join us, look for the foundation, check out this Guardian Angels project, and let's see how we can sustain and promote these kinds of initiatives that do so much good for our city. Children are dying in Haiti. The video that Brother Pierre, the community leader in Haiti, sent me is very sad. Children are literally dying every day. Adults can't afford their medication and they die too. There is so much poverty, it's one of the poorest countries in the world. How is it possible that we call ourselves human beings while this tragedy is happening in Haiti? The governments don't care, nobody cares. People are dying, children, the elderly, and no one is doing anything. That's why I decided to contribute with Brother Pierre to help alleviate hunger, hoping it will touch your hearts too, and any donation you make, I will make sure it goes directly to him. This young man, just 35 years old, is helping his community to fight hunger in Haiti for both children and adults who are dying. Please, help out. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to this program about the evolution of the soul. As you know, we are supporting these foundations, one for children with autism. I went to Colombia and it was very sad. These therapists donate their time to help these children, providing them with food and treatment, and I want to thank everyone who is contributing. And the other cause I'm supporting is in Haiti, helping a community leader to provide food for the children and to help alleviate hunger in Haiti. Well, this time we have Alberto Monteagudo with us. He has done a lot of research on nutrition, the importance of cellular activation, and the reduction of oxidative stress. You know we're facing an epidemic of junk food and toxins, so, well, we have to take care of ourselves, right? Part of mental health is loving yourself, right? It's about loving yourself and well, also stopping the consumption of all those medications that they cause a lot of harm. I don't agree with prescription medications because of the side effects. And these products, well, they're already in more than 20 countries. They don't have any chemicals. They're fabulous, and they're revolutionizing the American market. On top of that, it's also a company that gives you the opportunity to sell these products, to become a partner and use them, but also, well, why not make a little money? And they're extremely good. They have a lot of scientific evidence of their results. It's a company that's been in the market for years now, and they presented this idea to me, and well, I'm happy to support them. My page will be there. Well, here we're going to introduce Alberto Monteagudo. He knows all these products very well, so he can talk to us about cellular activation, stress reduction, and other products that help the whole body and are completely organic. He has done a lot of research on nutrition, the mind, and what is best for our bodies. And here we present to you Alberto Monteagudo. Hello, Alberto. How are you?
Good afternoon, Dr. William. How are you?
Very well, Alberto. Tell us about these products. Personally, I took Protandim for a long time. I kept taking it, and it says it's a cellular activator and that it reduces our oxidative stress. But for people who don't know, tell us about this. How can we also achieve greater longevity? And what exactly is this cellular activation?
Cellular oxidation is when free radicals are produced naturally in the body through bodily functions, like when we eat and digestion, and all those processes. Naturally, when it reaches the cell to create cellular activity that generates energy, there's also some energy waste, and that's what we call free radicals. When we exercise, we breathe very impatiently. When we're stressed, when we eat poorly, when we're exposed to radiation from devices or the sun, anything that negatively affects the body, creates oxidative stress through free radicals. What are free radicals? They're very harmful molecules that exist in the body, which we both produce ourselves and acquire from two sources. So once they're created, they look for somewhere to stabilize themselves because they need to steal an element, an electron, from other elements in the human body. That's where the problem starts. When they attack the cells, because if we go to the basic unit of the body, it's the cell. The cell, many cells make up, and the composition of the cell forms a tissue. A tissue becomes an organ, and an organ is part of a system, and all the systems work together. So when the cell of any organ, in any tissue, we're going backwards here to the primary base, when it starts to become destabilized due to the attack from those free radicals, that's when problems begin. The cell.
They're like toxins, right? Free radicals are like the waste left behind from all the toxins we consume.
From eating, and also remember I mentioned at the beginning, it's a natural process of the body, something the body also creates. When we create energy inside the cell, it's like a combustion, like a byproduct. And so when we're born and we're young, the cell has a perfect balance to dispose of those toxins. As we get older, after 18, and I'd even say before, because of the lifestyle we have these days, we lose the ability to balance those toxins, and that's when oxidative stress begins. In short, oxidative stress is the imbalance between the amount of toxins or free radicals that are competing with the cell. There comes a point when, if we don't have the ability to balance them, eliminate them, that's when the problem of oxidative stress arises. The cell gets damaged. The outer part gets damaged. It enters the cell and can even reach the nucleus, where more advanced problems occur, because the nucleus is where we store the DNA, which is the transcription, the program of our genes, and that's where the problems start.
And what does this product specifically do? When you talk about cellular activation, how is it that the cell is activated through protandem, and what does it do? So, the telomeres, which are the parts of the cells that degenerate, or the parts of the cells that wear down, that's what causes, well, aging, right? So, does this repair in some way? Does it do some kind of repair in the body?
Exactly. Okay, if we see a cell, we compare it. For example, let's imagine a physical thing that is an egg.
Yeah.
An egg of a bird. If we see, let's compare. It's not such. The outer part, which is the membrane, is bibilipid, meaning it's made up of certain molecules that protect it. It's full of receptors. Every cell is full of receptors because we need many receptors in each cell to activate natural processes that are controlled by the system. In this case, it could be the immune system. In another case, it could be nutritional. In another case, it could be the endocrine system. This means that cells respond through these receptors. Well, when we're young, when we're born and in good physical condition, this NRF2, as it's called, the nuclear regenerative factor, it's innate within the nuclei, which in this case would be the yolk, the center of the egg. We're placing ourselves at the center. What happens? As the years go by, we lose two extremely important molecules. Those are NRF1, which is the second nuclear regenerative factor, and NRF2, the first. Both are extremely important, and they leave the nucleus and remain in the cytoplasm, which is the part of the egg outside the yolk. Let's place ourselves there. So they're no longer working all the time. Now they only work when there's an external activation that comes and tells the cell, says, let's activate NRF2 or NRF1 right now, because we need it. A little more. You were asking me a question. You were talking to me about chromosomes, or you mentioned it was, which was the other one?
Longevity, telomeres.
Telomeres they're the extension, the very last part. It's like in shoes, when we have shoelaces. The very last part is what they call telomeres. Those telomeres get shorter as they reproduce. As they duplicate, they get trimmed. And that's one way to measure aging or cellular aging. That's where the DNA is. So we have to be very careful to take care of it so it doesn't get damaged. How does it get damaged? Through the very same process. Free radicals and what they call oxidative stress. I have to think the other way around. The oxidative stress that attacks the cell. So, speaking a bit, do you want to talk about the company's history, or do you want to jump right into it?
Well, yes, let's also mix in the company's history, because there was also this journalist from ABC who did a very important study where they tested his blood and realized that he had doubled a protection somehow. And that's what Protandim did, right? That product, but if you want, tell us about the company first and then we'll come back so you can explain the three most important products this company has. How long has it been around? In how many countries is it present? And actually, it's not in that many countries. I think it's only in Spain and Mexico. Mexico is already included. I would love it if it's such a good product to bring it to South America, right? All over South America, so that people there could also have the chance to, well, become partners in this great company. Tell us a little about the company and then we'll come back to the products.
Exactly. It all started with the Human Genome Project, which began around the year 1997 and ended in 2003, when it was released to all the universities and all the academic institutions and clinical studies. That was the Human Genes Project. So that was in 2003. In 2005, the first company that was able to launch a product that activates these genes was this company, LifeVantage. These products are patented. They have more than 8 international patents. In that same year, in 2005, as you mentioned, Doctor, the ABC Primetime Network, their moderator, whose name is John Quinones.
Quinones, yes.
At that time, he was a younger man. He did what he called, he wanted to make a defamatory impact report. He wanted to discredit what was being said about this product.
Right.
So he subjected himself to a test. He said, I want to try the product. So they did. He, in fact, even hired independent laboratories to run the tests. That means he didn't trust the system or that the company was promoting. So they ran tests on his candy on all of the blood parameters of the gentleman, and he was given the product Protandim. At that time, it was the only one of the main products that claimed to have these advantages over the aging process. So 3MO, 30 days later, right? Not even that. He was tested again, and he was surprised to see that it was true that the Protandim had reduced the amount of oxidative stress by 40%. That was back then. The study was done again, and it was found that it's actually much more, but it depends on the individual's condition. But that was a wake-up call for the whole community. When the university saw that, they said, we need to study this more deeply. And there were many universities that did.
Studies, yes, scientific studies. One thing, since you mentioned stress, also the stress we keep getting from so much news, like the war, the economy. All of that, I imagine, also lowers the immune system. That's why there's also another product they have that's really good, which has even helped with autism and everything, Axio, which and in some way, it also helps with neurotransmitters. So, the same stress we experience every day, just imagine, with the economy so bad, no jobs, the wars. All of that, I imagine, ends up damaging the cells.
As you well know, we've learned a lot from you. Stress is made up of biochemical signals that react in many ways in the body and cause pain, cause illnesses. And all of that turns into stress. It's an imbalance that can be hormonal or at the cellular level. And it's true, you were talking about Axio in this case. I call it food for thought, meaning food for the mind, because when you take it, the energy you get is incredible. You have mental clarity. You can focus. You don't get that emptiness that people feel when they drink. Drinks that have what they call energy drinks or energy bars, which are fine for a moment. But then afterwards, they feel like they have to go back and take more too.
And the amount of sugar and caffeine in those is terrifying. It also reduces mental fatigue and difficulties with concentration. And it also does some repairs because it helps prevent neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's, like senile dementia, like Alzheimer's, which are advancing at an incredible rate worldwide. I saw some statistics and they're double now. And I imagine that the level of anxiety and stress is so high that the neurotransmitters also start to get damaged. And depression can also develop, which means no motivation, no energy. So, all these products generate a natural energy without any toxins.
Exactly. They've come up with a formula that's very effective. Not only effective, but it actually delivers results. Because you might say it gave me energy, it's effective, right? But the real result, you see it if you try it for a few days, you assess your way of thinking changes. You feel motivated. It gives you motivation. It gives you natural energy. It gives you enthusiasm, the desire to start and finish your projects. And you really don't need much more than that. When we talk about mental illnesses and all the processes that are happening, those illnesses are called type 3 diabetes because they're very, very much related to the excess of super processed carbohydrates, unnatural sugars, and too many calories. And there's a connection. Everything is connected. You can't separate the body. You can't separate the organs. And you can't divide an organ either. Sometimes they send us to one specialist, then to another. That's what today's system is about, what they call the healthcare system. That system is broken. When you go to the doctor with a deficiency, with some kind of condition, right away they pull out a prescription and give you something from the big pharmacy, as I call it. But that's not the root cause, because the reason why you're like that.
From the root, yes.
Exactly.
Look, I'm working with a physician, Dr. Francisco, and we're developing a product for the microbiota, also for the gut, but obviously we're just getting started. Now, what really worries me is the level of anxiety and depression that's out there. Suicide rates have gone up a lot. So, I also saw some studies about this axio, which also helped children with autism, and both children and adults with Down syndrome and all that. And this. So what does it do in the brain? Well, let's go back a bit and let's talk about the three products. Protandim, basically, what is the benefit of protandim in cellular activation and in reducing oxidative stress? And then we'll move on to the next one so we can go in order.
In the case of protandim in NRF2, which is how it was released, when the first edition, the first version that came out, it's a cellular activator of NRF2 inside our cells. Let's imagine the egg again. The outer part. So in the center, in the cytoplasm, which is not the nucleus, it's what's outside the nucleus. We have this NRF2 molecule, which before, when we were young or healthy, was inside the nucleus, but due to aging and the natural evolution of the body, for reasons we don't really know, it starts to move out. No, there are theories, but we don't know why it leaves the nucleus. It's there waiting, but it's attached to another cell, to another molecule that holds it and doesn't let it get activated. So when they, through nutrigenomics, which is the science of how to activate genes through products, nutrients, in this case, these are specifically formulated vitamins in a specific ratio that activates these genes, what happens? Let's make an analogy. The genes in the body could be
the genes.
Formed.
The genes, for those who don't know what genes are, the genes.
The genes. We can think of a musical instrument. When a musical instrument comes out of the factory, it's tuned. It's, as they say, in tune, in key. But when you transport them, expose them to heat, cold, time, they go out of tune. And that's what happens to us with our genes. You might be born with perfect genes and end up ruining them, or you might be born with genes that have issues, and you can tune them and activate what you need and deactivate what you don't need through lifestyle, supplementation, and in this case, with genetic activators. So protandim, They created this formula and went on to patent it, and they carried out a very thorough process to determine the exact amount needed to activate this receptor in the cell, which then sends information to the KAP, which is the molecule that keeps the NRF2 bound, and tells it, let it go. And then, when NRF2 gets energized, it activates and enters the nucleus. Once it enters the nucleus, guess what happens? It starts telling the genes, activates more than 200 genes, between 200 the genes. Sorry.
That's because you grew up in the United States.
It activates the genes, and more than 200 to 300 genes are turned on. What does it do at this point? It tells the genes, start working, tune in, do your job, reactivate, get in sync. Some need to be turned up, others need to be turned down. Some need activation, others need to be deactivated. So those genes start working, in this case, with NRF2. It's specifically to create antioxidants that protect us in balance.
Antioxidants.
Antioxidants, sorry. The antioxidants that are going to act against free radicals and, in this case, oxidative stress. Remember that oxidative stress is the imbalance between the amount of radicals and things attacking the cell and the cell's ability to keep that war between the two balanced.
Well, and we're basically talking about the immune system, because damaged cells obviously harm the immune system, and then anything can kill you, like during that virus that happened in 2019. People didn't die so much from the virus. People died because their immune systems were completely weakened by the fear, by the terror that was instilled in them. So, when the immune system is low, a person, well, any illness can get to them. From there, countless diseases arise, like rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, lupus, where basically the immune system stops working and starts attacking you instead. So, this product is essential to address the reduction of oxidative stress. And it's just one little pill a day. You don't have to take so much. Just one a day. Look, here's a question that the lady wants to find Rita, a lady from Mexico. I have a big community in Mexico, so they've already opened up in Mexico. What that means is, if you go to my page, which is showing here, William Gallego, The Advantage, there you can get the products in nail. And I imagine that since the company has already opened in Mexico, well, now you don't have to spend much money on shipping, right? On sending the product. They've also opened in Spain. Are those the only two countries? How many? And besides that, they have it in many other countries, right? But there are only 2 Spanish-speaking countries, just those?
I understand. I don't remember. I don't have the exact list, but there are 28 countries participating in the distribution of these products. I imagine it must have been pretty tough for a company that doesn't use toxins, but everything is completely natural, to compete against the mafia of pharmacology, right? That's what happened in 2005. These products were in pharmacies. In the chains, we don't want to mention any so they don't, say something or block the video. But there was no promotion. I think really there was no one to promote them, and there's no better. Way to make something popular then, from one person's experience to another.
Of course.
When you see the results, So it doesn't matter how many studies you've done, when you see the results, that's when you get motivated, when you try it, when you promote it, and when you tell other people, let's do it. In 2000. That was in 2005, when they went after the company. In 2009, the company was taken out of pharmacies, and they created what is called the person-to-person marketing system. And that's why it has grown so much, because when it's in pharmacies, no one is going to promote it, because it's not in their best interest.
No, of course.
You're attacking the root cause of most problems. There are more than 220 diseases that, if you look in health libraries like PubMed, DOR, or the US Gov, which is a fantastic health library with lots of publications, there are more than 220 diseases. I think there are even more. But anyway, let's mention around 220 that are linked.